All right, ready?
Yes.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Village of Webster Board meeting for June 23rd, 2022. And if you would stand with me, please, with the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Be seated. All right. This evening, we are beginning, as we normally do, with an open public forum. So if anybody would like to address the board, if not, I know that
Monique
from the Village Quilt Shop would like to address the board.
I would, so.
You're welcome to go to the podium,
Okay.
state your name, and
Hi, I'm Monique Liberty, and I am one of the owners of the Village Quilt Shop. First, I want to thank the village for doing such a great job making the village look so nice. We get a lot of people from out of town to our shop. It's quilters. Whenever they travel, one of the first things they do is they put in the nearest quilt shop in their GPS. And so we get lots of people from all over the country. And we get a lot of compliments on how nice the village is looking, so thank you for that. So that makes it really nice. The one issue we have, though, is with parking. Our normal customers, our regular customers, most of them are elderly. So parking in the municipal lot across the street by the village, even though it's a short walk for me and for any of you, for some of them, they'd struggle with that. There's not enough handicap spots for them to park in, and a good deal of the time, the parking is filled all day long by the same cars. Unfortunately, it's the local businesses that are using it. And we have gone over to them, and we have spoken to them nicely. We have pleaded with them. We have called the Webster police and had them ticketed, and they still park there. So I'm looking for a few things. One, I don't know if this will help, but if we could have the village board send a letter to all the Webster Village businesses and state that the parking is for customers only, not for business owners. There's plenty of municipal parking that we can park in. It's just a little short walk to your business. It's really not a big deal. So if the village board would be willing to do that, that might help. It might get their attention because the village is sending them an official letter on their letterhead. And it's not Monique, the old quilting lady, nagging them again. The second thing I would like to have happen is maybe the parking needs to be extended to 3 hours. 1 hour is really not enough time if you're enjoying a meal at JoJo's or the filling station, or you're getting your hair done. You can't really get that done in an hour. And we really don't want to be giving tickets to our customers. So we could have the parking extended to 3 hours. That would give the customers, the real customers, plenty of time to do their business and to leave. Now, I know that the village is tight on resources, but I have been investigating, and the village does have the authority to appoint parking deputies, kind of like the old meter maids. And the parking deputies could be monitoring the parking. And this way we don't have to bother the police anymore. They could go out once or twice a week, take a look at who's parked, mark their tires, go back out a few hours later, and if they're still parked there, give them a warning. After 3 warnings, then we ticket. And if the village doesn't have the resources, I as a business owner would volunteer my time to do that. And I'm sure some of the other businesses that are having the same issue that I'm having would volunteer their time as well. So that's my little speech.
Thank you. And I do know now because I've talked to several people, so I more than understand. And
Yeah.
so many just park right there on that park where I park.
Yeah. We actually lose business. At least once a week, I get a phone call from somebody who said, I tried to stop in today, but there was no street parking. And if we continue to lose business, we're going to leave the village, because we don't have a choice. We need to stay in business, but we need our customers to have easy access to us.
So how are you going to tell if a car parked there is a customer or
I'm not
a
going to be able to
business
tell,
owner? So
but,
how is that?
but if I mark their tire and they're still there 4 hours later,
Well, that's different.
Exactly.
I understand that part, but your first request was to make parking on Main Street for customers only. And my question is, how is that enforceable?
well, unless the few businesses that are always parking there, getting new cars, we know their cars. Some of them have big signs on their car saying what business they are. And I'm sure if you drive down Main Street during the day,
So do you include, if you live in one of the apartments up above the businesses, they can't park there either?
they should not be, not all day, they should be parking in municipal parking, correct? It's only 1 hour parking now.
You don't live right on Main Street.
But it's not only Main Street, it's Lappin as well, because we're on the corner. Our shop is on the corner.
I understand that.
I mean, there are times when I need to unload my car, and I have to pull into the little alley by the garbage can because the parking is full. And it's the people upstairs and a few businesses down that one strip that are parked there. And we have talked to them. Just a few weeks ago, we had a big shop hop, the Great New York Shop Hop, where we had people coming from all over New York State to our shop. So I walked over to those businesses and I told them what was going on, and I asked them politely to park in the municipal parking lot. They looked at me and said they would, but they did not do it, not one day. And I'm sure we lost business during those 2 weeks because it was busy and there was no parking. And if the museum is holding an event, we can't use their parking lot either, which I totally understand. We're grateful we can use that when they're not holding an event. Now, I don't know if a letter from the village, on the village letterhead would help, but I don't know, me as a business owner, if I got a letter from the village, I would pay attention to it. I don't know if these businesses will, but it's a start, right? And it's something easy that can be done.
Have you brought this up to the bid? Are you a member of the bid?
I am a member of the bid now. I went to the meeting just this week. Until last week, I was working a full-time job as well as my business. So I could not attend the meetings. But I just retired last week. So now I can focus solely on the business. So now I'm going to be a pain in your butt. Because now I have more time. So I did bring it up to them, and that's where I found out about the meeting tonight. So they suggested that I come here.
Well, the bid really has nothing to do with parking. That's the village, not the business improvement district. They can't regulate who parks where.
They can't regulate it, but they can ask us if we could do something about it.
Well, okay.
That's all they do. And that's all they would do, is bring it to us.
I mean, if the parking's not 1 hour, why do we have signs?
Pardon me?
If the parking is all-day parking, why do we have 1 hour signs?
Because that's 1 hour parking, it's not all day parking.
Right, it's 1
But
hour parking.
that's the problem. People are parking there all
There's
day.
no enforcement. If I go to JoJo's, I'm not gonna be there an hour, I'll be in there 4 hours.
Right.
Yeah, so-
And it's, I think if we send a letter saying that we've contacted the police, we've asked them to step up enforcement, and you're gonna be ticketed after an hour, hopefully that'll work, and maybe they'll ticket. And then I had sent something to the bid a couple of years ago,
Yeah.
saying that, you know, I agree, when these regulations went in the 70s, there's mostly retail, in and out, quick shops there. There wasn't, it might have been a diner, but there wasn't, Strepa's was there, or the Champion or whatever it was called there, but nowadays, I think that the environment has kind of changed a bit, so there is things that take longer time, so whether it's, you know, when we mentioned 3 hours or 2 hours, or maybe there's this thing you can do, look at changing it, you know, it's 2 hour parking Monday through Friday or Monday through Saturday, and then, you know, no parking 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. So if people go out for dinner, like you said, obviously your dinner, you're not gonna in and out in less than an hour.
Exactly.
But if you, so maybe that's a mix that would
Because
work.
most of the businesses are closed by 4 or 5, so you can have it open in the evenings when people do dinner.
Yeah.
But the police don't have the police have talked, we've talked to the police, they don't have the time to monitor the parking, and they're not going to monitor the parking. That's what they told us. They don't have the resources to do it. And if the village doesn't have the resources, as a business owner, I would step up, if I was deputized to step up, but I need that authority.
So the letter you were talking about was,
Mhm.
was to tell them that the parking was for customers only.
During business hours, yes.
Well, that, I think before they could do such a letter, the village would first have to change the code on parking, because the code doesn't say that.
Okay.
It doesn't restrict parking to just customers.
So could
Okay.
the village send a letter saying, we request you to leave this parking for customers only? We're trying to improve business in the village.
It could be suggest, not request.
Suggest, right, not
Maybe.
request,
Yep.
suggest
That's what she's
it.
asking.
Because you're trying to improve business to your village. You want more people coming in, because the more money we bring in, the more money you'll get from taxes. So suggest that they leave these spots for customers during the business hours.
I can draft something for the board and review it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I like the 3 hours.
I do too, because I know if I'm going to get my hair done, I need more than an hour, so I get that.
Exactly.
I only need about 15
Yeah.
minutes.
Some of us care a little more, no, I'm kidding.
Takes me a long time.
I got a big
I can
nose
tell.
here. I know, I heard it takes 2 minutes.
Yes. At the bottom of the letter, Jake, if you want to put my name and your name.
Yeah,
That's a good idea.
yep.
Yeah. And I put a call, or I sent an email to the police today on a couple of different issues, and that was one that I hadn't heard back yet. Hoping to hear back, and then he was asking, hey, step up enforcement. We certainly don't want customers caught up in the trap, but if it takes that, that might be, friendly fire, if you will, or unintended consequences, but I think it'd be easy to identify ones that are parked there all the time, and I don't think
It's
we
the
ever
same
set our,
cars.
we never set in our code it's for customer parking only, because common sense used to take care of that, and that seems not to anymore.
Yeah.
Not in those two businesses.
Yes, it's crazy.
So since I'm new to this, the politicalness, how do I find out if any of my suggestions or my requests have been taken action on?
I'll let you know if
Okay.
you send a letter, and I'll give you a copy of it.
So it's like you said before, when you have more time, you'll be.
I will be here.
You'll be a pain in the
Yeah.
You keep bugging them until you see something's happened.
Okay, I'll keep coming to every meeting until something happens. But I do think we need to increase the parking time too, and I don't know the process
I
for
know,
that.
Jake and I were talking about that previously. I don't know if we did came to a final decision, but that'll all have to be a code change.
Right.
Which we're going through several code changes right now, so we can discuss that still, further, excuse me, in with the board to see what they want to do.
Yeah, it goes back, I think, as far as August of 2020, I looked in the other day, I sent some information to the bid, and saying we could suggest something to the board about different times for hours and things like that, and different parkings based upon what we think, but frankly, if we're good at business, we'd be a business, not working for the village, right? So we wanted input from the businesses to say, we can say what we think might work and suggest that to the board.
Well, I'll do the
But from the
legwork with the
businesses-
businesses, so.
Yeah, from the businesses standpoint, if they can provide the feedback, and this is exactly what
Okay.
we've been waiting for a couple of years, is some feedback so that we can now draft something to present to the board for consideration and then go from there.
So then I'll take the action to find out the hours from the businesses, if they think it's appropriate, and I'll email you, Jake.
Great.
And I have had a few phone calls as well, asking to increase the time frames. I don't know if it was, from you or from some of the other ones, but they also asked for 3 hours, so.
I think 3 hours is reasonable for most things, so.
But I think enforcement's going to be, you can make all the changes you want. But if nobody's there to enforce it, what difference does it make?
But that's the thing.
Frankly, I think you can send emails, letters, phone calls to the chief of police, that's short term. You might see, they'll come one day and you won't see them again, because frankly, this, if they prioritize things, parking tickets in the village is at the bottom of the queue.
You're right, and that's what they told us, that's what they told
Well, I know
us.
that, so, but I think your point about the village considering hiring a part-time or something like that parking person,
Or asking for volunteers, I would volunteer my time as a
well, there's
business.
issues with
You
volunteers.
have to hold a certification and
Okay.
codes, because it's in our code, so you have to be code and park, there's more to it.
That's too bad.
Well, there's liability questions too, for
Right.
volunteers.
But we can look into
You couldn't, volunteers wouldn't.
it. Okay.
Or maybe you could leave a note in the window.
It's not like Aaron doesn't have enough to do as it is.
Well, I just
whispered to Marcia, he said,
I'd love to do it.
Did he just volunteer, on top of
me.
everything else?
I mean, I already have cars towed and ticketed. I'm not saying I'm doing this, I'm just saying, that's part of what I've already been doing, but not at that scale, going around daily to check. I mean, that'd take obviously some more time, but.
It could be pretty loose, that
But it
if
wouldn't
someone's
be
saying
daily.
this car has been here
Right.
day after day.
Right.
But you're not gonna go mark tires and all that stuff, that's
No.
ridiculous, but
But if I'm getting phone calls.
if it's someone that is continuing to abuse, you're gonna know which car.
Well, Aaron, but you've done it for like unregistered vehicles and stuff parked in where they're not supposed to be.
Yeah, and even in the village lots, if they've been
You
parked there.
actually issue a ticket?
Oh, yeah.
So can
Well, no, I don't, the Webster PD does, but I have them issue the tickets and tow the vehicles.
So can they call you now, Aaron?
I cannot confirm nor deny.
I brought this up before, but
Right.
no one from the village actually follows up to see what happens to those parking tickets. Like, because technically the revenue, the fines are supposed to come back to the village,
Right.
Yes.
and they never do. The town ends up keeping the fines, and they shouldn't.
So I'll be more than happy to look into that.
Yeah,
Yeah, well,
So,
I didn't even know that.
but yeah, because there's a village.
All right, well, thank you for your time. I am warning you, I will be back if those still cars are still there every day.
Well, they do it
So,
because
I want my
doesn't
business
follow up
to
and
grow, not.
nobody's-
no problem.
Thank you, Marie.
Thank you very much.
Well, some should follow up.
Peter.
So just, I came up here for one thing, but just as another note, since I've been involved in the Business Improvement District for a very long time, too long, I would also recommend that as far as this matter goes, that the bid send a letter out, because the bid is the organization that directly is responsible for the businesses in the district. Not that I don't think the village should be involved, I do, obviously, I've been involved in that too, but the Business Improvement District has specific provisions in its bylaws that talks about how it's supposed to approach these types of issues in the village, not just parking, but beautification, all kinds of things. So the organization that would be the first line of defense in this kind of thing really should be the bid.
Sure.
So what I could do is I'd be happy to take, we're having a board meeting sometime next week, and I just got myself elected to the board of directors, and so I'd be happy to take back this to you and then have them come up with some kind of resolution for you, Jake, because I do think you're right, it'd be much stronger if there was some letter from the bid that talked about a recommendation, so you'd have some cover there. But I also think the bid should just literally just send out a letter as well. It's nothing to do that. We've actually done it in the past, believe it or not. This isn't the first time this issue has come up by any stretch. So, well, let me switch gears. I'm actually coming up here as the chair of Historic Preservation Commission tonight. Very excited about our next site of the month. I just wanted to give you a brief rundown of it really quickly. It's the picture of the house is there. I know it's kind of small, but our site of the month for the coming month of July is 57 Lapland Park. This is a house that's owned by Al and Michelle Abram. The house was built in 1900. It is a 3-story Victorian construction. It was originally purchased by the Knight siblings, which were a brother and sister. In 2000, Al and Michelle had the great luck of moving in right next door to Dick Bateson, or Webster historian at the time, and he provided them with a very different picture of what the house originally looked like. Because, as you all are aware, some of our houses, including mine, went through a lot of upgrades and updates over time that sometimes resulted in them not looking quite like they did in the beginning. So slowly and deliberately, the Abrams have rehabilitated every room in their house and have added a 600 square foot addition to the back of the house to include a new kitchen, entryway, and a 4-season room in that Victorian style. Plaster and lath have been replaced. New windows have been installed, with the exception of one window in the front hall, which still has the original glass. The trim throughout the downstairs, which has been removed and or changed when remodeled previously, was replaced with the help of a craftsman from Newark who milled all the new trim and to match the original. In 2003, a red brick patio was constructed and a pergola built to support an existing wisteria, which had been growing there for over 50 years, which I guess is like, what, a third of the life of the house. It's pretty good. The house was sided with hardy board, again in keeping with the original style of the house. The original front porch was removed in the 1960s due to structural issues, but in 2020, a new one was added and was finished this past January, and it looks really good. anyways, the Abrams, of course, say that it's a work-in project and there's still a lot to be done, but there's always a lot to be done with our houses in the village. But they have done an outstanding job in bringing this beautiful old home back to its original glory. So our sign is in the lawn. I recommend, all of you live nearby, we all live nearby each other, so I recommend just going past sometime and taking a quick look at the house and all that's been done. This is exactly why the Historic Preservation has done Sites of the Month for almost 20 years. Just encourage you to take a quick look. And for those of you who are looking to upgrade your house to the original, this is a great example of what can be done to restore a home to what it did look like when it was originally constructed. So, if you have any questions? Okay.
And I'm sure Al would talk with anyone that wanted to restore anything.
Oh, yeah, and he was going
Because
through.
he did a huge
yeah.
amount of the work.
He was talking about the materials they used,
Yes.
the painting, everything, the footers.
Well,
There was a lot of work involved, so.
He's even helping Karen Sullivan
Oh, okay,
with her kitchen.
nearby neighbor, yeah. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, Peter.
I will close the public portion of the meeting, and we will move now to our scheduled board business. First item on the agenda is resolution to approve the minutes from June 9th. Motion to approve.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Trustee Lauer,
Aye.
trustee Leo,
Aye.
trustee Belkane. Aye. Trustee Lancy,
I wasn't here.
Mayor Byers.
Aye.
Threw me off for a minute, I looked up there. What that was.
Good call, Jake. You're doing good.
All right, next item is a resolution to approve the claims and warrants. What happened to the wood chipper door, Jake?
Oh, I think it was the wood chipper, we installed the door on the discharge chute because sometimes it comes up and we get it plugged up. And so rather than bringing it back up to the shop to be able to take the tube off and ram something through there to get it off, they made a door on the top so we can open it up and clean it out that way.
So they're taking it back to the shop.
That's the one. Is that one from Coulter?
Yes.
It's like 1,700, I think.
Yes.
That's
Now, do we have everything done with the trees? Because we had all the trimming and everything.
Yeah, the annual tree trimming thing was progressed. We have done that, and there's, it's a constant.
Yeah, but the big part of it's
The
done.
big tree trimming, that's what that 16,
Yep,
950, I believe. it was.
Yeah.
What's 3 hoodies for Dan?
It's the sweatshirt, the ones that have the hood on them.
We have 3 of them? I'd like 3 hoodies, sweatshirts, please.
Well, and that goes against their clothing allowance.
What about this motion, activate a camera?
Those, I believe, are mine for the well fields. Is there, it's a subscription for it? Nope, those are, down at the well fields, we're having a considerable amount of vandalism, breaking windows, so we looked at different security systems. There were thousands and thousands of dollars. I got 2 cellular cameras, trail cameras that were, I think, $130 or $140 a piece. There's about $100 a year subscription on those, so we get unlimited pictures. And then I got 4 other non-cellular trail cameras that I put, one in each building down, or 2 of the buildings down there, another one outside pointing a little different. I put one down at the end of Donovan, where sometimes people dump things off there. So it was all for under, you know, it was, like I said, 2 at 130s, 260, and then another 80 for 160, maybe about 500, less than $500, I think, rather than thousands for the security. I caught a group of 5 kids down there. I get the alerts all the time. Caught a group of 5 kids. The police had them come, their parents all come down and pick them up on their bikes, took them back home. Last week I got one. It's a guy and a girl that were walking back there up near the buildings. When I showed up, I called the police. I saw them walking out on the camera right before I got there. And then when I showed up, there was a fire going next to one of the buildings. It lit something, so we called, you know, the police went and we ended up, they were going to look at the back part. I went out near the road because I figured they had to go out there somewhere and ended up catching them. They weren't too happy and they called me all sorts of things that made me blush. But the police showed up and got their information and we're dealing with them, so.
So we're working out pretty good then.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it keeps me, that's why I keep looking, I get a little ding on my phone and it'll say the camera was activated. And, you know,
That's nice.
a lot of times it's deer, but it's fox, but sometimes it's people, so I call them up and they're real good police meeting down there. Usually by the time I get from here, they're there pretty quick, so.
That's good.
Jake, I got a question for you. Under American Express and clothing, there's a $99 expense for Dan earbuds. Those, I would think, would be something that, especially if they're connected with his iPhone or anything like that, would be their expense. It's the economic expense.
I think that comes out of their clothing, I believe it comes out of their clothing allowance. I mean, it's definitely something that would come out of their clothing allowance. But I've asked to have those things come back through me. They always just go, you know, the front always just orders them, I think, and I never see them until it's on a bill pay. But I know they're, very often the guys get earbuds that have, you know, their sound deafening or sound deadening ones, like ear protection, but they have music in them as well. You know, you can wire your phone to them and music or a watch or a podcast, is that what they call it? Music or a podcast or something while they're working, they can have like something on there.
Well, I have an issue if, for example, they have them on and they are doing, they have the music coming in, if they were doing, for example, brush pickup, things like that. They don't need to deaden sound by listening to music because they ought to have visual in terms of what they're doing, you know, especially with tree trimming, putting it into the chipper, and stuff like that. So I'm wondering if you're monitoring that, when they wear them, how they wear them. Like the one who does the watering, for example, he's on the highway, and if he's got earbuds in, listening to music as he's driving along, that shouldn't happen. So I don't know, what your policies are and how you monitor or whatever.
Yeah, you're gonna wear ear protection when you're working around any, you know, noise or things that are over a certain level. Things like mowing, certainly the brush chipper is very loud. If the earbuds are anything like the ear, I've got ear muffs at home with a radio in it that I can connect to my phone or plug into my phone. I have the whole technology. They're certainly not gonna drown out all the sound. I can hardly hear the music, you know, even with the earbuds on and the music going through them. The village does provide, as part of their, you know, hard hats, hearing protection, and eye protection, as far as what they provide. If they want to kind of upgraded ear protection, that's what people, you know, people will.
Yeah, because these statements have two kinds. One says noise protection earmuffs, and then the other says earbuds.
I don't,
Yeah, so there's just two kinds. Some about getting cooties and
I make those entries, and if it doesn't specify no noise canceling, I don't put it on there.
well, the price is different as well.
Yeah, I've got one there.
Maybe I should order it up there. Keep the noise down in the office.
You should.
You know, we've discussed this before.
I know.
But, you know, the union contract says the village will provide ear plugs. Plug, doesn't say ear canceling device or ear, whatever Jake called it. It says ear plugs. You know, you can get those little, they're like $5. You know, and so if someone wants to upgrade them, you know, I just wonder, you know, they get $600 to spend basically however they want.
Right.
So they can spend $100 on earbuds made by Apple, and then one pair of pants and one t-shirt, you know, and it's crazy. So the village is paying for, you know, they're not paying the difference, they're just not buying other clothing or safety equipment. It's something that has been abused, continues to be abused, and it's something that should be spelled out better in the next union contract. And Jake, you know, again, I'll come to Jake's defense. These things are supposed to go through him first, not just up to the front office. Because God bless you people, it seems like you never say no to anything.
Wow!
You know,
Poor
it's
Marcia,
true, you know, I'm not gonna,
Yeah.
it's true. So, you know, I'm not faulting you for that, because you maybe don't know what the difference. They say ear protection, and you don't look in to see exactly what it is, I don't know.
Well, we do provide ear plugs, just the foam ear plugs that somebody can put in, but if they wanted to upgrade it, frankly, I don't know if I would say no if someone wants ear plugs. I mean, if you're out in the lawnmower all day long mowing, I don't think it's uncommon for somebody, you know.
Oh, it's not, I don't think, I agree with you, it's not uncommon,
Yeah.
most of my contractors use them,
Yep.
they buy them.
Right.
But
Well, I think they're buying them, but they buy them out of their clothing allowance, the way they're set up. Frankly, I'd rather the clothing allowance just said, hey, here's $600 a year, here's your allowance.
That's
Take
it.
it, and then it's done, and I don't care if you buy $600 worth of pizza, you still have to show up to work with steel-toe boots, pants, you know, safety gear that you have to have as part of that, other than the hard hats and the other things. And like I said, and as long as they're showing up with the stuff, because if someone's maintaining their stuff well and taking care of it and being careful with it, and they might not spend that much every year. Other people might have a job that they get dirtier, that, you know, tasks that they get dirtier. They have to
and I get what you're saying, if
They're all
people really take
grown-ups.
care of themselves, Jake, and
Sure.
then they don't need to keep buying those stuff, and can buy all these other things that are outside of those things, I don't know if that's right either. You know, you go to a 200 pair next time because your boots are still really good shape, I don't know if that makes sense.
Right.
So I'm kind of in the middle on this one.
Yeah, no, and I hear you, but I think 9 times out of 10, I think there's a very good, hard-working group of people that are, you know, grown-ups that we trust with all sorts of, you know, a $40,000 wood chipper, and a $80,000 truck. I think a $99 pair of headsets, we can trust that they're probably making a pretty good decision, and they're buying something that's protecting their hearing, but also providing them, frankly, sanity during the day. If you're sitting there listening all day long, it's going to drive you nuts. So you have a little music, or you're listening to a podcast, you're still getting the work done. In fact, I think there's studies that say that $99 you might get back, because people that are listening to music or working are maybe working a little bit more efficiently than someone that's just listening to, you know, they're happier, and like I said, it's working all sorts of different conditions and environments. I mean, I don't know, if the board wants to give direction on what's allowed and what's not, you know, spell it out. That's what originally, when we did the clothing allowance, there's gonna be a book. The place that we talked to about having a book, and it's almost like if your kid's on a baseball team, here's the things that you can choose from. That place, the book had morphed into something crazy and it wasn't gonna work. And there's people that have personal preferences, and frankly, I don't care if one guy likes a shirt from this company because it's more comfortable for him, and the other one likes the class 3 or class 2 from another company because it's more comfortable for them. They like the material and this or that. As long as they come and they've got this stuff on that they're supposed to have on, and it's, you know, what is on safety stuff, really. And, you know, and
We have a color, we have a color, whether they have a shirt that's Nike or a shirt that's some other company, uses a certain color that you look for, right?
no, we say it's gonna be high vis. They can wear green, they can wear lime green, they can wear orange, they can wear pink, you know, there's hot pink that's lime vis, there's or high vis, there's all sorts of different materials and different things, and, we could go back, we used to spend a lot of money on t-shirts every year, and we ultimately looked at it, it was a cheaper way to go, and I think we did it before we did the uniforms for everybody, which would probably equates to $200 or $300 a year, the boots, which are a couple $100 a year usually, so there's 400 right there at 6, and then we buy t-shirts and sweatshirts and things that also, Village Webster, and but one of the things we wanted to do is, if you integrate the high-vis stuff with the reflective into a t-shirt, then you don't have to wear the vest, you always have your vest on. And the vest is a pain in the butt, it's not comfortable, it gets twisted up, you can't wear it with your chip and brush and doing certain jobs, so we tried to incorporate that in, and eventually say, all right, instead of everybody, hey, here's one that we like, and then this guy doesn't like this shirt, but somebody else likes this shirt, and somebody loves it. When I get 15 different places, go find yourself. Get something that's comfortable and works for you, and then go from there. Like I said, ultimately, I think we've saved quite a bit at the end of the day from what we used to, like sweatshirts, t-shirts, boots, and the uniforms. Everybody had the uniforms, and we made that an optional thing with the uniform pants, and the village doesn't pay for that. I'm 99% sure the uniform, almost 100% sure, I think the uniforms are just something that the village paid for. It was just in the old contracts, the old things will provide you with so many pants and shirts. Nobody, the shirts weren't that comfortable. But I'd be happy to do whatever the board wants.
I would like to take a moment to educate the group about the clothing allowance process. I don't have veto power. If you want me to, then we should change something. Usually how it works is that the guys turn in their requests to Heather. She places the orders and gives copies to Joe, who maintains she tracks their allowances. And I usually don't see the purchases until I see the statements, the credit card statements.
So
If that's unsatisfactory, then
I wouldn't say it's unsatisfactory, but I think Jake should approve his department stuff.
Completely agree.
Heather approves hers, that's really what it should be.
Yeah, and that's the way, yeah.
Because Jake may have had a conversation with someone and said no to something, and then maybe I'll try this one out and see if Heather will.
I agree with that.
Yeah, no,
We have no idea that we're already kind of big.
Right. That's why we trusted him, right? So he's the boss of this department.
I agree.
Well, we make a motion that we approve the claims and reports.
Yeah. I'll make that
So
motion.
why don't you make that part of the motion?
Yes,
So Heather has some definitive, that
direction.
she knows the direction is coming from a vote of the board, because she's not here tonight.
Exactly.
She's watching, I saw her live on Facebook.
Well, a few years ago, I created a process, we had somebody claim they didn't get gloves, so I created a process for clothing purchases. I can forward that onto the board if you want to review and see if that's works and suitable. It's basically, hey, here's where you're gonna get the thing, this is it, then it's gonna go up and get ordered, then you're gonna sign off when you get the stuff, and then you go back, but, I mean, I can see it if you want something else to, let's think about my car's extended warranty. And if you wanted to, look at that, I'd be happy to re-sign, I know I got it in my computer somewhere, so.
Yeah, and even,
Good.
I don't know if you have, if you have a little form or something, and they want it, Heather's the one that does the ordering, that's fine, but that your name is just signed in the corner that you approved.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Then Heather orders it.
Yep.
When she sees your signature on it.
In fairness, like I said, if there's other directions or specific things, I don't know if I would have not approved, had earbuds, as long as they're noise canceling earbuds.
Right, but your name's on it, and then you made the decision, and if we
Yeah.
think you make bad decisions time after time again, then we shouldn't have you, right? So we trust you,
Sounds
so.
aggressive.
Well, I'm just saying, you know, I mean.
What are friends for?
They're not going to get us.
Yeah.
All right, we have talked about this one, I think this has come many times,
Yeah.
and I always forget what our resolution is. I think it always goes back to Don looking at the guidance, it doesn't say we can technically buy those, and then we end up forgetting about it and come back to it again. So I think, yeah, we just need to make it more clear, so.
Yes.
Okay, well, I still have a request for motion to approve claims and warrants.
I think it-
That's it.
Trustee Guido,
Aye.
trustee Belkane,
Aye.
trustee Lancy,
I,
trustee Lauer,
Yep.
Mayor Byers.
Aye.
Our motion passes. What's this say?
All right, the next item on the agenda is a discussion on a one-time temporary wage increase. I believe that this is something that was put forward either by the union or our front office staff or whatever.
Is this for the board?
are you,
This was a discussion on temporary wage increase. I believe it's for,
We were gonna try to use the monies,
No.
correct? COVID.
Well, those qualify, but we also have money in the contingency account that we could use.
So why wouldn't we use the COVID?
well, I have a question. I mean, how many people did not receive the 3 stimulus checks that were distributed by the federal government?
I have no idea.
I mean,
That's personal information.
I don't, that might be personal information, but that seems to have been something that was put out there.
Okay,
So I'm just asking the question. You have already had 3 of those, or 2. We're looking at this basically because of COVID and this temporary wage increase because of.
It's just, it's in the description of what you could use that money's for, is one of those things, and there's a lot of agencies and companies that took advantage of that and did do these one-time, whatever, bonuses, whatever you wanna call them. We did it a period of time, we actually paid people, whatever, it was a couple more dollars an hour from this time to this time, was that 6-month period or whatever, so you could do an increase in their rate for a certain amount of months, or do a one-time thing, but people have used their money for, you know, frontline workers that continue to do their jobs through the process, whether you agree or not agree, that's kind of what they used to. A lot of people use some, not all, but some.
I guess I would ask the question, if this were a one-time temporary wage increase, and for example, if someone received $1,000 for a period of time, and that would, what, a year, half a year, whatever, 2,000, that would be one time. Once that is done, it would be like a payout. The stimulus check was a payout, it wasn't done as part of anybody's wage over a period of time. Would it then be something that bump, you want to call it a temporary wage increase, would that bump continue? Would it then be a permanent bump?
no, it wouldn't increase
Or
the
if you make,
base.
if you make $10,000 this year, get a $1,000
Bonus.
increase, I'll
Right.
call it bonus.
Then
You start at
future, future increases would be based on the,
10, not the 11.
exactly.
But I wouldn't call it a rate increase.
No, it's not a raise.
You can do, and there's other people.
No, it's not a raise.
$500, $800, just everyone got $800.
Yeah.
It came in your check, it was
The way it was
taxed.
put here is a wage increase, so I'm not.
Right, but I think we avoid the wage increase and it is a one-time thing
Kind of like the stimulus, it's a one-time payout.
yes.
Yep.
Except they did it 3 times.
And it goes in the check, it's taxed at
Like the
like
Kodak.
1,000,000%. Have
It's
enough
not
to buy
a
some
It's not,
gas.
no.
Well, that would be an argument in favor of, if you offer it as a bonus, then it's taxed as a bonus. And, everybody loses out.
What do you suggest, Don? What would you name it?
Well, how do you avoid paying taxes?
Well, you can avoid paying the higher taxes that hit a bonus,
By calling it what?
a wage increase.
It's still gonna go on their W-2.
Yes.
Yeah, they'll do
Just like,
tax.
just
at the end of
like,
the
just
day.
like a
Yeah,
bonus,
I-
just like a bonus will end up on their W-2 also.
Yes, the bonuses are taxed at a higher rate,
No, they're
that's
not.
my
No,
understanding.
they're not.
Okay,
It's just whatever tax bracket you're in, depending on what your W-2 income was.
okay, that's fine.
I mean, it may be something that if
If they were
you get
paid-
it in a single check, you pay more, but that, then if you looked at the end of the year, as part of what the total is for your total income.
And if,
Yeah.
and she may be true what she's saying, so then if, say, you're giving everyone $2,000, you can do it over 3 pay periods. Instead of $2,000 once, you can do, and you see less tax because the amount's smaller, basically. what you're saying. But I agree with you, that it probably isn't paid the same. But you could space it
I thought in the discussion on the ARPA fund, the use of the ARPA fund is like a look back, saying that if you work between, April and, February of this
out.
time
Right,
period,
tight.
it's X amount per hour addition, which would be kind of like a retroactive wage increase. It wouldn't impact today's.
Right, so retroactive would still be a lump sum.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
Is there any, if you're looking at the terminology, what the term stipend, is that, swing one way or the other? I mean, I don't know, I'm trying to think, I know, I've heard that in other municipalities, stipend for stuff,
So we can figure out the details of all that, that's not,
Tax-wise, I don't know. Generally speaking, you pay stipends to like independent contractors. Like, you called it a stipend for the village band director. Right, it's right in the bill pays this week, today.
so I think we can work on those logistics of what we're doing. I think that what we need right now is the board to decide
I don't.
if we're doing anything, is the first question, because then we can figure out how to. But we have to agree that we want to do it first.
I don't think it matters what you call it. It's more like, if it looks like a duck and sounds like a duck, it's a duck, no matter what you call it. And if it's a payment for either past, present, or future services rendered, it's income. It's going to show up on your W-2.
I agree. But we need to decide if we're even interested in doing it first. That's what's really on here. We don't need to discuss how it's going to happen, just agree whether we want to do it or not. And who does it include? Does it include every single person from both sides? Office?
Board.
Well, that's what we, yeah.
Right, so that's what we have to agree. If we're saying yes to that, then we can figure out the details. But I think we have to vote to
What, exactly.
But then what you do.
So is anyone
Jason.
against it?
Depends on the amount.
Depends on the amount. So does anyone have an idea? Well, the amount, do we know how much money is sitting there that we can use?
I don't, see, that's it, I have no idea.
Well, we want to talk with village, we have to remember there's $300,000, it's a big, $600,000 for 2 years. We got to pay that. However, there are other things for benefit of the village.
Right.
So
we decide, yeah, they should get, if we decide it's 2%, say 2% of the pay, like that. It should be 2% of
I'd like them to just be, everyone get the same.
Because you've got top level, 2% is a lot different than low level. That is so rough.
yeah, no, it's gotta be equal for us.
They just decide on a model.
We have discussion on the numbers.
Right, but-
Ongoing, I don't know.
But the board is in agreement that we're gonna do something, it's just now figuring it out, is this question. Are you in agreement? So it seems like everyone's in support of it, so that's win one.
Iron out the specifics, you know.
That's win one.
Yeah, we got that far.
All employees,
Define that.
and just,
Mhm.
You're not an employee.
and then a contractor. I get paid by the village of Webster.
There you go.
Peter.
Technically, you are.
Yeah, like Marcia says, you're employed.
You
There
are.
you go, Carl. She got your back.
I don't know if it's.
We should talk about that.
You are.
There you
No,
go.
I'm not disagreeing with the employee thing, but being included, that's right.
It's not a good look politically.
I would agree. I would agree.
Right.
I don't want to upset the Republicans.
I don't think it's Republicans or Democrats.
No, I don't think
it's just,
so. It's everything.
it's just public in general that doesn't look good.
Yes.
Okay.
I told you my share, Jay.
So if you wanted to take it and donate it to charity or something, you know, maybe that's something else.
Yeah, I'm the charity.
But that's not going to fly.
Carl's got a trip to the Adirondacks he's gonna pay for.
Charity.
Okay,
Those things I think we need to iron out. We'll go in agreement, but I don't know, we need to iron that out.
well, it seems that this has come up a few meetings in a row now, so
Yeah.
we can't just keep pushing it off, so what's next?
It has?
Huh? Yeah, we've talked about this a few times.
Okay. Well, it won't be pushed off. Maybe we'll have.
That was Heather telling you how much she wants. She just texted me.
Grow up.
I'm just kidding. All right, so what do you want next steps to be? Is there an expiration date to this? Or this doesn't keep going, does it? You don't know?
Well, an expiration date to what?
Oh, if you want to use-
Ongoing bonus? Or-
No, no.
If you want to use the ARPA money, it has to happen by 2025.
Okay, that's what it is. Expiration of the ARPA funds. 2025. So the way we move on this, we have plenty of time.
If I may,
Yes.
first steps might be to agree on a total that you would like to distribute, and then agree on, whether, what form it will take, as in, like, everybody gets the same amount, everybody gets the same percentage, something like that. I'd be happy to put numbers together once you've decided how you want it to look.
I would be in favor of everyone gets the same amount, that everyone should be
I
treated
agree.
fairly for this process.
Yeah,
It
I
shouldn't be
agree.
based on a percent or anything like that. And especially when you do it that way, typically higher management is gonna get a bigger chunk than your frontline staff, so it doesn't go very well, so we'll see.
Yeah, I agree.
Does anyone want to throw out an amount that they feel?
And also, would it include any temporary employees, seasonals or anything like that?
We just hired you.
There's
You're not going to retroactive to somebody who's no longer working with it. What are we going to pursue, but we don't have an amount? Right?
Right, you would need to decide that what the amount. Does anyone have any ideas? Anyone think? Yeah, what is it, something that makes sense?
Like 16 or 17 employees, not counting us.
You ready?
Just a question. Say we partook in this, but we didn't take any, like I said, each of us donates to a charity of our choosing. Is that possible, or?
No.
I'm not sure. I don't think so. And because it's just a roundabout way of the village
Taking
donating to a charity. And village, there's municipalities,
It's not a good,
municipalities don't.
Because remember, we are employees of the village.
You know, there's a prohibition, it's in the state constitution, of making gifts. So is this just a roundabout way of the village making a gift? Saying, well, it first goes to you, but you conditioned it on donating it to a specific charity. It's like, you might as well just skip the middleman, which you can't do. The village can't. You can't provide a gift to any kind of a private
Right.
entity.
If you were included in this and you took your money and when you got your check and donated to a charity.
Well, it'd have to be
That's right.
voluntary, it'd have
Right.
to be.
yeah,
It has nothing to do with the village. You
It'd have to be-
decide.
yeah.
Yes, Carl would be fully entitled to keep it to his own charity. As he phrased it.
So 5,000 is a good number. Yeah, so.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, just went on to think of where your ballpark is. I don't want to know.
$1,000.
I know between 1,040, which is 50 cents an hour straight through for the whole year. I would work out to 1,040.
1,040.
Just,
$1,000.
All right. I was thinking 15 to 2. Jude, Carl,
1,000.
Yeah, it is.
one down, no.
All righty there.
No more.
So somebody make a motion for 1,000, see what happens. Make it 3 votes.
I'll make it
We're
more.
done. The motion is what? To use $1,000 per employee from the ARPA money to be paid out as, it doesn't matter what you call it. If you call it a bonus, it just affects the amount that's withheld.
Exactly.
They take a flat 22%, but that doesn't mean you're paying 22% taxes. It depends ultimately when you do your tax return, what your own, bracket is. So you might get some more back than others, whatever. That's if you call it a bonus. You just call it a stipend or wages,
Yeah.
then it's withheld according to whatever your W-4 is that's on file with the village.
So we right, each village full-time employee.
Excluding the board because we're employees. So he made a motion for 1,000. Carl's, anyone seconding that?
I'll second it.
Okay, trustee Lauer,
Aye.
trustee Lancy,
Aye.
trustee Belkane? No. Was it? No? Okay. Trustee Alito?
No.
Mayor Barnes?
No.
Motion
All right, now one of
fails.
you three make a motion.
Yeah.
I'll make the motion for
1,200.
1,500.
All right, so
Anyone second? Jude? Yeah. Without children, there's nothing to do with children. We're trying to make a decision. Agreeing is children.
Why don't you compromise at 1,250? Between 1,000 and 1,500? Sounds like 1,500.
Forget it. Make it fair.
You're not gonna get 3 votes for 1,500.
I know, but where do you think they come from?
It's from your federal, it's from the
It's not
federal,
just laying that on our doorstep.
it's from the federal government.
Yeah.
You don't use it, you lose it.
Yeah, but remember, it's, so what, 1,500 times 16 or 17, I didn't do the math.
Yeah.
Whatever that is, that's that much less money that's gonna go towards the sewage, the sewer system, or whatever else you had previously been planning to use it.
No, I mean, that's why we're voting, right? But we save taxpayer money, but the same person that I wanted it. They're really consistent.
Well, there was a motion, there hasn't
So
been
there was a
second.
motion,
There's
yes,
not
I
been a
motioned
second.
for 1,500,
So is
nobody
that gonna die
said.
for lack of a second?
So I guess that's done.
Dies for lack of a secke
All right.
Now it's Al's turn.
make a motion for 1,200.
There you go. Is there a second?
Holy smokes, these guys are getting.
I'll second.
Okay, there's a second.
Okay, trustee Belkane? Aye. Mayor Barnes?
Aye.
Trustee Lancy?
Aye.
There you go.
All right. Trustee Lauer?
I can't wish any more time.
Trustee Lauer? Trustee Alito?
No.
No?
Stupid idea.
So motion passes 4-1.
That's how you do it.
Thank you, board.
Right?
I'm just gonna hand her this and see if she can determine what I wrote.
What was that
To be
number
clear,
again?
that is a one-time, or whatever, does not affect
One,
the continued, under the terms of the contract, the rest of the contract. It's not figured into that one-time.
Yeah, it's one time for past services rendered.
Past services, that's what we should be clear on. When is this to be paid out?
Probably paid out whenever Marcia tells whoever does the village's payroll to do it.
exactly, exactly.
Okay.
Okay. Are we done with that?
Huh?
Are we done with that?
We voted, it's done with.
Number 4, item 4. Discussion, second seasonal. Would you like to just bring that up, Jake? Because you may know more about this than I do, but why would there even be a need for a second seasonal? And I suspect this would be at DPW and not at sewer? Or is sewer losing someone, or is DPW losing someone? What is the need for second seasonal?
The sewer, I think it was the last meeting or meeting before that the board authorized one for each. One for the DPW, one for the sewer. This is an additional on the DPW. Obviously, there's a lot of work that happens in the summertime, the short construction season. We did have the interest of a prior employee express interest in going back, but I think that that's, because it has to do with personnel matters, I think that might be best discussed in an executive session. Because there's a reason he's a prior employer or employee. So it's either something we can, if you want to have an executive session, or we can do, I didn't know this was going to be on the agenda really, but we can do, we can do that, or I can send an email explaining it and then try to bring it up at the next meeting or something.
Why don't we just do it tonight in an executive session? Can we
Okay.
do that
Oh, that's
even
fine.
if it's not?
Yeah, well, I didn't know what
done?
it says.
You need the help,
Yeah,
so.
that we certainly can use. But there, it's
When was it that you had two DPW in the last 3 years?
I think it was the last board that we had, we had two in the DPW and one at the sewer.
The last board?
And I think the last, what time, when it was the last board, so it's been about 3 or 4 years, I think.
Yeah.
Probably all right.
When there were different members of the board. That's what
Yeah.
you're
Yeah, I
saying?
think.
Yeah, when it was.
Well, yeah, it's definitely that it was way before that, because this is my like 12th year.
Yes, it is on 12, yes.
Yeah, I could look back. Why don't we just,
Yeah,
rather
let's talk.
table it, and I can look back and get more information if anybody has questions, and then I can provide that to the board.
Because until this year, the DPW has functioned without a full-time person that was lost a couple of years ago, so.
I think typically it's, everybody kind of rallies around and works extra hard because we're down a person. It usually uses a justification to continue to penalize them for doing extra work to make up for the work that person wasn't here
I'm
doing.
not talking about the summer. I'm saying it happened that they functioned. They now have that person, which I have no problem with. They're at full strength. And they have the two people right now for summer.
There's one person right now.
Only one.
One here, and there's a different one down in sewer. They're out flushing most of the time. And that's fine.
Okay, and we will hold that. Number 5, is a resolution to authorize the village clerk and village treasurer to attend NICOM, the fall clerk school, September 12th through 16th, at an estimated cost of, I believe that's combined, is it not?
Yeah.
$3,800.
Where is it?
Saratoga
Yeah.
Springs.
The horse racing season's over by then.
Yeah.
Otherwise it would have cost probably, $10,000
That's right.
just to stay up there.
You should have used your stipend at that.
Yes.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Trustee Ippolito,
Aye.
trustee Lancy,
Aye.
trustee Belkane, trustee Lauer.
Aye.
Mayor Byers.
Right.
Motion passes.
Next, we have a resolution to authorize the village clerk to sign a contract with ABS for tax bill processing for a period to end April 1st, 2023.
No cost.
I believe that that's in front of you, tax bill processing agreement.
Yep.
And,
problem with the agreement.
Same.
I don't know, I guess Heather said there were some issues with this particular vendor or something, but all the villages seem to be sticking with them, so.
Yeah, I guess so.
That's usually what we
Something
do.
like that.
Well, I think that's probably something that can be brought up. I can bring that up at our meeting and see where other villages are going in terms of whether or not they're looking elsewhere. I think that some of them are, according to Heather, but,
Well, that's what Heather told me, that they were, but ultimately they villages, they all decided to stick with this company.
So,
I think, my understanding is that Heather was gonna talk more about it with the other clerks, and then they just ran out of time. We had to get somebody to do it.
Yeah, let's find out more.
but I think that between now, I mean, if we approve this between now and April 1st, 2023, which is the term of this agreement, April 1 until April 1, 2023, we can find out more information. I believe this is a post.
Yep, work's already done.
So this same company printed this tax year's,
yeah.
and there were no issues with it?
Not that I know of.
So it's kind of silly because, so you're going to sign this contract for work that's, they're not going to do anything until next June, which isn't even covered under
I
this
know.
contract.
Yep,
So this is kind of a silly contract to sign.
To begin with.
Why does Heather want to sign?
I'm not Heather, I can't say.
Let's text it.
Table it.
I just noticed that, I would have asked her these questions, but I just, the term of it, April 1 through
I
Glad
April
you
1.
saw that,
That's the
yeah.
same question, why are we paying now for
Right.
something that's done? And I guess it was because we were not necessarily under contract.
Oh,
at that
maybe
point.
it's because, this is a guess. Maybe it's because they billed, the old contract had different rates than this contract. And the village got billed at these rates, but there's no contract in place that forces the village to pay these rates. So they want the village to sign a contract, so you can pay, have you paid the bill for doing the
They
taxes
haven't
yet?
got the bill
You
yet.
haven't got the bill. So that's my guess is why they want this.
We
Because
might
so
have-
they can charge the rates that are in
Never.
there.
We might have paid it, I can't remember
Well-
whether it came through.
You should probably find that out, because if you already paid it, then there's no need to sign a contract, right? Because they're not gonna do any work between now and April 1, 2023.
You are correct. I do not know.
Maybe we should send code enforcement.
Well, we can table that. I don't think that they're pressed if it's already, we're into June, July, and it happened and it's already done. April.
Just,
That would be like next year.
So this got tabled, is that it?
I was saying, shall we get clarification from
yeah.
Heather?
Okay. And from Marcia, find out if
Yeah.
they already paid
It's
their.
already paid.
Then it's like, it's moved, it doesn't matter at this point.
Do I have a motion to table?
I'll make that motion.
A second.
Trustee Lauer,
Aye.
trustee Lancy,
Right.
trustee Belkane, trustee Alito, Mayor Myers.
Aye.
All aye. Motion passes.
Last thing we have here is a resolution authorizing the village treasurer to sign the Toshiba lease agreement for the plotter map printer.
So that's a $12,190 agreement.
Yep.
is automatic renewal,
93.50.
month to month.
Well, so after the 63rd payment is made, the village has a choice.
To buy.
You either buy it at its fair market value, or you give it back. If you don't do any of those two things, you keep paying $193.50 month to month forever, which doesn't make a lot of sense.
Exactly.
At that point, you either should get a new one, or
And by that-
just buy the thing.
Right.
Basically, it's a 5-year.
And a prorated.
5 years. It's a 5 years.
Five-year lease.
It's not prorated, it says in this fine print that you need a magnifying glass to read.
Yes, yes.
It says,
17 or 16.
someone
Yeah,
purchase,
automatic, yeah.
the purchase option. At the end of the term, you're not in default. Upon 30 days prior to notice from you, you will either return the equipment or purchase the equipment without any warranty to condition, value, or title for the fair market value of the equipment as determined by us. So they get to tell you what the fair market value is. And that's what you'll buy it for. It's not like
tell you ahead of time.
It's
like
not
a
like a
residual.
car, it's not like a car lease where they tell you ahead of time what the residual value is. Because who knows what the residual value of a map plotter is? I don't even know what it is the village is buying, but, you know, there's probably not a real big market for these to figure out 5 years from now what it's gonna be worth.
The residual on used cars, much higher than it was. Yeah, the used car.
Sure.
The value of that used car is now much higher than it was.
I can give you
5,
another
3 years
example,
ago.
they junk really high drive.
Well, that's why we're not buying a used car.
No, but we're buying purchase, leasing a purchase.
But if you're leasing a car and your lease is about to expire, a lot of people, because the residual is so low compared to what it's worth, I have a conversation with Jake.
Sure.
You buy it and then turn around and sell it, you can make money.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Or you just keep driving around.
But I don't know if that's gonna be the case in 5 years with this map plotter.
Yeah, I don't know if we can put it on the sidewalk and put a
A lot of
sign.
maps.
Oh, dear.
So, and suffice it to say that basically, if you don't pay the $193.50, they're just gonna come and take the machine. That's what all this stuff says, and they don't offer any warranties. Any warranty goes only to whoever manufactured it. You can't go against Toshiba Business Solution, they're only the distributor.
Who uses a map plotter? What is a
And
plot?
there's several of us that use it, it's back in my office area, but, for blueprints and, you know, stuff like that. I use it, yes, the big machine with the big roll of paper. I use it, I don't know how much Jake uses it in the past. I know the front office staff uses it for several things, don't ask me what, I have no idea, I just know to use it. Yeah.
Is this one a scanner as well?
Yeah.
Because I know we used it a lot before, scanned in things. And the last one we purchased was the town.
Yeah, and that's a good point too. The one we have right now, we can't scan in and save, you know, PDF like, you know, we'd like to, because then we possibly wouldn't have to hang on to as much paperwork as we do. So, yeah. They are much smaller now.
Quite a scan.
They'll take up half the size, so.
And my understanding is that the one that we have, they won't service it anymore.
It's not supported at all anymore. It hasn't been supported for, I think they said 8 years or so. We can't even get a help desk to help with it anymore. It doesn't do, we can't scan in that, you know, because the software is just completely out of date.
Do we do any price comparison with our neighbor?
Yeah.
We can-
I don't have that, but we did.
Just wondering what they have.
Yeah, that's what I'd like to know too.
This is better machine.
Well, maybe we should repair.
Huh?
What do you think about it?
we have to do it. Don't you?
The one that we have,
Yeah, we have no option. I didn't really do those big copies of blueprints and stuff, you know.
Yeah.
We never want to do those. If someone needs a blueprint, a cut construction better, he really charge them. It's another service thing.
Okay, I'll make that motion for Marcia to sign off on this.
I'll second.
Trustee Belkane,
Aye.
trustee Alito,
Aye.
trustee Lauer,
Aye.
trustee Lancy,
Aye.
Mayor Byers,
Aye.
motion passes.
Gotcha.
Have anything for us further this evening?
Only if you want to have just a very broad based discussion of our meeting this morning, that we did receive the proposed IMA from the town for the joint use of the outfall pipe.
And we took a look at it, have made, or are making comments to it, and we're sending it back to the town. for
So
their
do you want our opinion on anything before you send it back to the town? You're just gonna do it? Just asking for a friend.
Well, I'll tell you what, I don't think it can't be part of an executive session, so. The main change is that the town is looking for the village to contribute 50% of any repairs, maintenance of the outfall pipe, whereas presently, and since 1979, it's been 1/5. That's the main biggest change. They're asking for it to be split 50-50 instead of 1/3, 2/3, like it's been in the 79. No explanation for that, they just threw it in. So,
So I'm assuming you redline that.
well, and when it was, you know, the mayor, Darrell, myself, Jake, and John Carnevale, we met this morning, and our inclination is to come back and say, why not 1/3? Then 1/3, why is it? Go back to the 1/3 and see what they do.
I agree with that.
I think a lot of it has to do with that the town feels they've got all the leverage in these negotiations, because basically it's the village that wants and needs its own speedies permit, and to get that, you need an IMA with the town over the shared pipe. So they're like, hey, if you want the agreement, here's the deal. Here's the deal. Well, that's only, again, that's only my opinion, my conjecture. I obviously haven't had any discussions with anyone over the town as to why instead of 1/3, it's 50%. But I
How much is it?
But I guess,
Anybody?
well, this is the whole point. What they basically did was they took the 1979 agreement and copied and pasted it and made just a couple of changes. But the problem is the 79 agreement wasn't just the outfall pipe. That was when the village had to pay for, the town built, the village paid for the whole redundant trickling filter and basically another sewage treatment plant down on the town site that never got used. And now since it hasn't been used in 40 some odd years, it's useless. But the 79 agreement had in it, you know, a schedule for the village to pay its share of all that stuff. Well, now we're down to just the outfall pipe. And all it is, and Jake can tell you, it's a gravity-fed pipe that's basically got water flowing through it, because that's all the effluent after it's all been treated by both the town and the village that goes out into the lake. So John said, and he's been around for 30 years, he can't recall ever the town billing the village for any type of maintenance of the outfall pump. Because there is no maintenance. He said one time, back when Mike Caparelli was the sewer treatment plant operator, and someone else, I forget his name. Jeff Camiso. Probably because they wanted to do it, they scuba dove and jumped in and looked at it. You know, so at best, every 5 years or something, you hire some guy to go scuba dive and check it out, whatever that costs. Otherwise, the town hasn't been built for anything, because there is no operation and maintenance cost. Yet in the agreement, they got all this crud in there about paying, proportionate shares of insurance and salaries with benefits and up for a pipe that there is no maintenance for. So it's kind of crazy. Yeah. So really, the only expense was, however long, it's like 10 years now, Peter, when a portion of the pipe literally broke off and floated down to Gannett. And so that had to get obviously repaired, and the village paid a third, $300,000, which the village is still paying off for that. But other than that, since 1979, that's been the only cost for the joint outfall pipe.
Yeah.
Yet they want 50% of.
Yeah.
They're probably trying to see what we do.
Well, maybe, well, that's fine. I guess I don't fault them for, if they want to negotiate, that they start high and hopefully we'll end up somewhere else, but that's where it's at.
So, some changes are being made and sent
Yeah,
back.
and there's some other stuff, because right now, the way it's worded, even if there were some future improvements that need to be made to it, like it's not big enough to handle the combined flow of the town and the village anymore, and it's got to get, the way it's written now is they got the village paying 50% of that, even though any increased need may not be attributable to the village use of it at all, and I think it all would be to the town. When we originally drafted our version of the IMA and sent it to them, we had the future based on need, the respective need or benefit. Whoever needed it or benefited it most, they paid. If it was a joint benefit, then fine, 50-50 or whatever. But they've got it 50-50 no matter what, the way it is now, the way they proposed it. So.
But at some point, as you said, if they didn't budge, you're back to mercy, because we have to.
Oh, you're right.
We have to do it, so those are
Or
costs.
the choices to go back to the whole regional,
Yeah.
joint plan, because the DEC is requiring the village to get its own speedies permit, and they made a condition of that. They want, well, and the main reason the village needs the IMA is to outline its express right to use the outfall pipe. They didn't put that in there at all because it wasn't in the 79 agreement, so we got to do that. So anywho, it's this will probably take months and months, because it took a long time to get this draft.
Well, maybe not.
Well, we'll see, I guess.
Yeah.
All right, Darryl, if you can work some magic, go for it.
Yeah.
So anyhow, that's all I had, and I guess, are we still doing I didn't look at the agenda. So there's still the workshop on the 28th where we're going to talk about the adopting a local law for allowing the video conferencing, right? Okay.
All right.
Heather and I both viewed the webinar that NICOM put on, so we're right up on it.
Okay.
All right.
I'll have Heather lead the discussion. I only say that because she's not here.
Exactly.
All right. Well, we haven't heard from you in a while, sir.
Right now is a busy time. This reflects just May, doesn't reflect up to what I'm doing until June here. Total permits were 11. Complaints I have at 8. I think there's a few missing.
Any highlights?
What's that?
Any highlights in terms of the permits? I see you haven't
everything-
listed anything upon request, but I just wondered if there were any highlights.
Yeah, nothing that sticks out. I mean, a lot of it's Greenbrier and, just people doing decks and pools and stuff right now. Just the normal, kind of normal stuff on that. If you want me to start attaching the actual permits and stuff like that, I mean, it's a couple easy reports. I print them off every month anyway, so I can always include them in if you folks would like. It's not a big deal. Same thing with the complaints. I can start including a copy of the complaints and listing them out so you can see exactly.
Well,
Did
sure.
Yeah, I like that one.
53.
you like that? Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure how it was done previously and what you guys wanted,
Yeah.
public versus not public. Yeah, I'd be more than happy to include all that stuff for the next report. Other than that, really, Brittany Woods we're just finishing up paperwork and they're going to be all set. Couple of little things to tie up. Like I said, Greenbrier is up and running. You can see if you're running by there, driving by there. Donovan Park, they're still in the process of, what they're going to be doing. And, just several smaller projects and some other stuff coming down the line, but nothing that's out of the norm.
Donovan Park Flex, any, you said continuing with the process.
Yeah.
Anything in detail, any further?
We got all the responses back from the county, so that can, the next steps for that can go forward now. I think Don and I, we were touching base on that, right? Everything can go forward. You got the results. I forwarded all that stuff, right? I think you were on the email.
Was that recent?
No, probably.
I don't
Oh,
recall,
3 weeks
I
maybe.
don't recall seeing
No, okay. I think it was right after the one for the code change. I think
it. I
days after.
I didn't see that, but
Okay. Well, anyway,
since, the site plan review is now back with
right.
the ZBA, assuming, Heather sent it up to the Secretary of State. I don't know when
Right.
they received it, but that's what the effective date of the new local law.
Okay, so they'll go to the ZBA now, so
Yes,
so as soon as they
So they'll have to go through
are
the
set, we'll go through
the
that.
new process for
Perfect.
preliminary site plan review. And it'll be a lot easier.
Yeah.
because It's all laid out now.
No, absolutely. They're more used to it than,
Yeah.
than
Right.
the board is too, so
Right.
it'll be smooth sailing, I think, so.
So yeah, so whenever they're ready, just, go through the new local law and make
Yeah.
sure they submit what they're supposed to submit and
Yeah.
put it on the ZBA agenda.
Yeah, we're pretty much, everything's in their hands right now, we're just waiting to hear from them as to when they're gonna, continue to move forward, so. That's really about it, like I said.
How we doing at Country Manor? What's the status of
They're
that?
doing pretty good. I've been over there, I was over there, I think, 2 weeks ago no, actually, last week too. Been doing checkups on them, run-throughs. I did actually condemn another apartment over there for some infestations and some other issues going on. But they're sticking to the word so far. They've done a ton of work over there. It's looking good so far. People aren't happy with the rent raising of the rent, but that has nothing to do with us, so,
Yeah.
can't do anything about it. I guess if you raise the rent, you're gonna get, different, clientele and stuff in there, so. So they're trying, they're working hard on it. Yeah, absolutely, and the lawn's mowed, so that's a positive thing with that, so.
Just a sewer quick first, we continue to meet with the sewer project. The Ready grant, I tried calling Matt right before the meeting, find out where they were with getting a recommendation to the board. I'll continue to press him, see if they'll have a recommendation to the board for the next meeting, one way or another on the welding committee. I know we're continuing to get some additional information as part of that. My understanding, I think the town went back out to bid, or going back out to bid, I don't know if they had yet, because their pump station portion of that project came in over a certain threshold, and they had to go back out and do multiple contracts, I believe, so. Luckily, we didn't have that part to deal with, so. As far as the DPW, there's a lot of things going on in Wood Street, we're pulling gutters there, actually they just poured gutters. Know the circle, trying to expand that circle within the existing right of way that we have there, make that better. Then we're going to be making improvements to the walkway between Wood Street and Iroquois, as well as the walkways in the Wilmerite Park and Shands Park, from a maintenance standpoint at the end, but also people walking in there. Those are going to be improved. Get over to the park. We're replacing gutters and sections along the street, but we milled the east end of it and the circle. As you recall, the circle was not a public, it was supposed to be dedicated to the village about 2008. It went through the dedication process on it, went into receivership. They sold everything else except for that. And we basically waited, I think 2019, 2020 is when it was finally, because it was a public street, or acted as a public street for 10 years, the village finally was able to basically take dedication of it without the offer. There's a section of village law where if it's a public street for 10 years, or it's acted as a public street, the village treated it as a public street. So we were able to finally expend funds on it. It was a Wild West down there with 3 roads coming into one big, huge, wide open circle and no. It was really surprised we haven't had a big accident down there. So one of the things we've looked at for a couple of years, we had the plans drawn up. We put a traffic circle in down there. So we have a raised median in the center that we're working with the homeowners association. We just slipped some conduit in there. They're going to maintain that. We have to probably draft an agreement with them. But they're going to maintain and mow it as part of their regular schedule. So we're putting grass in the center there. And then we're going to have a concrete apron. It's a mountable curb with a concrete apron, so buses and things. And it's just going to be a circle like that's up on 590. It's smaller, but like up on 590 near Seabreeze and that. We got multiple streets coming in, so it's put it one-way traffic around there. Should improve the safety of that intersection quite a bit, because it's kind of scary. People fly down, get over there, and going straight ahead, they never stop, and people fly out of the side street, you can't see them, it's blind corner, there's fence there and trees, and like I said, I'm surprised there wasn't a wreck there, but that's getting addressed now. Besides that, obviously there's the mowing, the watering, the weeding, setting up for the bid events, putting barricades out, putting the weeding in the parks, putting up the stage for the concert series that's going to start. Sweeping, normal things we continue to do. So. That's it.
Thanks from the museum for all you guys do over there. It was great.
Well, anyone else have anything that they'd like to bring up?
You have anything, Marcia? And you're representing Heather, so I don't know. She usually wants something new.
Well, apparently I'm the yes girl.
Oh, Marcia.
All right, next village board workshop will be June 28th, I believe. Coming up very quickly, that'll be at 6 o'clock here in the boardroom, and after that, we have our village board meeting and organizational meeting on July 12th. That is a Tuesday, because the 13th through the 16th is the Webster Fireman's Carnival, which has returned to Fireman's Field, so I'm looking forward to that. So we will look forward to seeing you on the 28th.
So for the audience, just a comment.
Yes, Peter?
It's an extremely quick comment. I just wanted to let everybody know there's a family game night tomorrow night in the village on Friday.
6 to 9.
Yeah, it's 6 to 9, and it's on West Main Street predominantly, just so you know. Okay, so, and then,
Street will be closed, I believe, at 5 o'clock.
Yes.
yeah, that's what Jake was alluding to. And then on
Family
the,
event.
on the 28th of June, they're having the first movie, which is Trolls.
Control.
Yes.
And that's from 8 to 10:30.
Good.
Sorry
We
to
have our
interrupt.
We have our workshop at 6, so we'll be done, hopefully, and we'll be able to attend ourselves.
That's an excellent idea.
Thanks, Peter.
Thank
You're welcome.
you. All right, if that's it, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
All in favor? Aye. Motion carried.